10,000 horsepower, 1,000 kilowatt hours of battery capacity, 50 machines, 19 years, and 10 awards. It's all a numbers game in 2025 as we celebrate 19 years of AutoX.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to AutoX and welcome to this year's jury round for two-wheelers. It's time to discuss the best and worst of 2025. Alright guys, so just to recap, we had about 15 motorcycles and scooters for this year. We had some things missing, right?
Yes, so we did not get any motorcycles from KTM, Bajaj, Triumph, and very surprisingly Hero MotoCorp, because all these manufacturers together had some really nice products, really good contenders that could have, dominated the track day.
Very
for
important
two-wheelers.
launches for the year, especially from KTM. The Enduro was
The
there.
390s, I was
The
really
390s are there.
The Hero Extreme 250R.
Just to recap for you guys, what do you think was missing but you really wanted to try it on track?
Okay,
Just one.
just one. Okay. The 390, the new 390
The
advance.
390.
Yes.
What about you?
I think, for me, I'd say it was between the Zoom 160,
Yeah.
important product because
Yeah.
big scooter, whatever it is, and of course the Enduro R, because not at the track, I didn't particularly want to ride it on the track, but I wanted to
Yeah.
check it, how it would behave.
For me, it was the Extreme 250 because that was a motorcycle I felt was okay out on the real world, but it would have been fantastic
on the track.
for a track.
Likewise, I think I really wanted to ride the Extreme 250R because Hero claims that it's the fastest 250, right?
Yeah.
The fastest 250cc motorcycle, and I really wanted to see how fast it goes and how it behaves on a track. So yeah. missed
And
that.
again, just to give you a clear idea, all the products that we have here, it's the manufacturers, they send out all the products to us and then we test them at the track. But we reached out to Hero, we reached out to Bajaj Group, that means KTMs and Triumphs, everything was there. But of course, they couldn't arrange the bikes or products for us. So that's why they're missing. In our jury round video, I think there are a lot of comments why are these bikes not there.
Yeah.
So it's not that we are biased or don't accuse us of
We
that.
just didn't
but
get it.
yeah, we didn't have the
We
bike,
asked
so
for
we
them.
couldn't do anything about that.
Anywho, water under the bridge. And I think let's start with the ones we do have for the test. And the first one which comes up is the Aprilia SR 175. So Aakash, Paul, SR 175.
Well, again, it is a fantastic scooter out on the track. Very fast, super fun, and really, really meant for places like those. I've ridden it in the city, and that is where it falters a little, but on the track, it was quite a lot of fun.
I think the SR 175 for me again looks very cool, especially in Aprilia colors, stands out, it has the X factor. But on the track again, it has the power, it was quite nice to ride, but nobody is going to take it on the track, right? So the problem in everyday riding, it feels a bit compromised, the suspension is really firm and the ride is just jittery all the time. So that is what kind of pulls it back, but otherwise quite a decent product.
Yeah, I love the SR going all the way back to the SR 160 and 175. Feels like a good evolution. It's balanced and it's very hunkered down in corners. It's just fun to ride, and that long wheelbase, gives it stability. I think it's a good sporty scooter.
Right. So the design and the way the SR 175 looks, particularly the stickered version that we had for our test, looked really nice. And on the road, I haven't been able to ride it much, but whatever little I could ride, it seems very stiff, and the seat itself is very stiff. And after a while, it just starts hurting your back.
And it's oddly shaped also. Like
So it's
Precisely.
it's a bit inclined. It's
Yes,
stiff
inclined.
plus inclined. So when you brake hard into a corner, you tend to slide forwards. I think that was the only thing which it got a bit.
What makes it worse is that little hump in the middle, which is there to differentiate the pillion and the rider, because then you can't sit further back because it's going to poke you. So
But I think where it made up the most amount of points is X factor because it's just cool.
it
All
definitely
right.
is.
So let's move on. I think now we come to the Tuono 457. We had the RS 457 last year, and this year the naked version was supposed to do wonders.
Yes, and again, another Aprilia,
Yeah.
but boy, was it good fun. Because with the Tuono, now you get that added benefit. Yes, it's not as angry and as sharp as the RS457, but then what you do get in place of that is that added comfort when you're out on the road.
I think same for me, because on the road it's really fun to ride. It has got tried and tested performance. It's a marvelous engine. The vibrations, for some reason, I thought it was more on the Aprilia.
Yes, that's because when we got the motorcycle, the handlebar didn't have bar end weights, which contributed to that extra weight, extra vibrations.
Yeah, I think, and the other reason is, I'm not particularly a fan of its design. I know it's Italian, but I think it has that Anglo-Indian sort of face.
I liked it. I like the headlamp design. I know it's quirky, but I think
That mantis-looking thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't look Italian enough. For the RS457, it has that, big bike look. But this one, it's a bit odd
It
shape.
flies under the radar.
When it launched, I thought it'd have that half fender like the bigger Tuono,
Right.
but this just has like a normal Street Fighter.
And I think we also have to address the elephant in the room, which is Aprilia's after-sale service.
Yes.
So, yeah, a lot of bad rep for Aprilia on the internet. So that
And
really...
even some questions on the reliability.
Exactly, yeah. So that's why, even though it is a great product objectively, but considering what's been happening over the past 1 year, because the Aprilia RS457 was our best of 2024, it was also Indian Motorcycle of the Year 2024. So, yeah, great product, but ultimately the customer experience, the after-sales experience, where it left a bitter taste in existing owners' mouth. So, yeah.
So now we move on to the performance machine which everyone was looking forward to and loved gawking at, which was the Panigale V4 S. Oh, man.
it's
I mean, we couldn't pull you off the motorcycle.
Yeah.
I remember.
yeah. So
I didn't want to be pulled off the motorcycle.
a little behind the scenes thing that the three of us did not get to ride it as much as we wanted because a certain someone whom I'm not going to name,
It was me.
yes, just took all the track time with that bike. But boy, does it look good? Does it ride like a dream? I mean, the power that you have in your right hand is ungodly. That's what I would say.
It has just taken the game forward, like, to a different sort of dimension, I'd say that, compared to the old Panigale. It's light, it's nimble, you can go really fast on that if you're willing to. And overall, it feels more forgiving compared to the old version. And the version that we had, it had, 20 lakhs worth of extra?
70. Yeah, 70.
Yes, it had a dry clutch, it had
the
Acrophobic
full titanium race
which is
exhaust.
13 or 12 or 13 lakh rupees.
12.5 lakh.
Yeah, dry clutch was for 5 lakh rupees. So my problem, again, before we come to you guys, my problem with the bike is now it nearly costs 40 lakh ex-showroom without the accessories. If you include the accessories, it's going to be around 60 lakh rupees.
60 lakh.
The bike that we were riding, it was 60 lakh on road.
Half a crore.
And that was a lot of money. That is a lot of money, considering that other bikes, let's say you compare it with the S1000RR, which I think is not as great a track bike as the Panigale V4S, but the S1000RR is what, half the price now?
Even the ZX14R for that matter.
Yeah.
ZX10R, sorry.
Yeah, so this is basically like, they always say Ducati is the Ferrari of, of the motorcycle world. So now that price, it really matches. Yeah, it matches. So I think my only problem with the bike is that, but in terms of performance, in terms of how special it makes you feel, well, I think there is no comparison with the Panigale.
Now, I'll give him and I'll give you guys a different perspective as well. Now, we had it for our track test, the Panigale V4S, but I kept it and did another separate track day with other Panigale owners. And from them, I got a direct feedback that it's 10 to 20 lakhs more expensive than the older bike, but it's 10 to 20 lakhs better than the older bike. And plus, those guys think that S1000 is too soft on the track. They want a proper track weapon, which was the Panigale, and that's what it felt like. You had so many electronic adjustments. I was in race Evo mode with the semi-active suspension switched off. It felt more nimble. You could turn into corners. You could power out so much. It's an absolute weapon. It's like a radar-guided missile. Like it's precise, but it's fast. That's
No, I mean the way it looks, and there was some sort of negative feedback that the old Panigale had a single-sided swing arm and this one did not,
That makes a
which
big
like
difference.
reduced the looks or the styling of the motorcycle, but I tend to disagree here, because not only does it look really cool because it has a hollowed out swing arm, and secondly, it of course adds to the performance,
Yeah.
to the agility of
Agility.
the motorcycle.
Even
It was
stability at fastest.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about normal motorcycles and it's how easy it gets to 100.
Sure.
Here, how easy it is to get to 300.
300,
in
yeah,
the back
yeah,
straights.
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, anyway, we all loved it and we can keep talking about it, but it's time to move on. Let's get to the next Italian, which is the Multistrada V4 S.
Right. So the Multi V4S launched very recently. In fact, just a couple of weeks before our track day or so, and not as outrageously expensive as the Ducati Panigale V4S. But if you want a motorcycle that is primarily meant for touring, not off-roading, then look no further than the Multi V4S, because the kind of power it generates, the way it handles, and the looks of the motorcycle and the practicality that it offers, like it's one wholesome package, and I absolutely loved riding it on the racetrack. Karan?
Now, you said that it cannot be used for off-roading, but I would say with the BMW GS 1300 going a little softer, being the more road-focused tourer, I think this somehow is the best balance of on-road and off-road performance that you can get now above the 1000cc mark. And you know, the way it performed, it turned in really nicely. It gave you the confidence to push it harder into a corner, and the kind of performance you expect from a behemoth like that, I think the V4S really stands out.
I think the Multi V4 is my favorite of the lot. I love the Panigale, but I was nearly putting my knee down on the Multistrada as opposed to the V4S, because the Panigale is more physical and you have to be fit. But as I grow older, I realize that my muscles are not as forgiving, or my bones they don't move. My body doesn't move that
You
much.
wanted the one which
So
you
I
don't
want
have to
something with that kind of leverage, and the handling is phenomenal. And you have to understand that it has the same V4 engine as the Panigale, of course in a different tune, but that's a sports bike engine. So the way it goes in a straight line, even around corners, it's really fun. Of course, because it now has a bigger wheel, so I think it's 19 at the front right now. So the steering does feel a little slow in comparison to the old Multistrada. But overall, if I had to buy one bike with my hard-earned money, it has got to be from this lot, a Multistrada V4 or any top-end ADV. So I enjoy riding them on the track. You'll see more and more people are now taking their ADVs for track days, and that's because of the kind of balance that these bikes offer. The only downside is that, again, like Kingshuk said in the beginning, it is not as expensive as the Panigale, but it is the most expensive ADV in the country right now, and it's around 5 or 6 lakh more than the 1300 GS. So I don't think you can justify that sort of price difference with the 1300 GS, because the 1300 GS is also equally good even on a racetrack. But yeah, the Multi V4, well, it's just amazing.
Now let's move on. Again, we've gotten carried away a little bit, but from the biggest, now it's time to go to the smallest, which is the Honda QC1. So,
Okay.
Aakash Paul, you had some words to say about it. You had some opinions.
Yes. Okay. This section might not be too pretty, but the QC1, yes, we get it. It's a slow speed scooter and it's got a purpose and all, but the pricing is just so close to a regular ICE
What's
scooter.
the pricing again? Just to remind all.
It's 90,000 ex showroom for a scooter that does not even go above 50. So I think we had to set aside one full day just to do one lap of the BIC on that
48
scooter.
was the top speed, right?
Yeah, 50 is what they claim, but depending on the rider weight and things like that, it can bog down a little. But dynamics wise, for that scooter, it's actually quite sorted. Once you go out on the road, maybe not on the track, because again, such a slow speed scooter, you can't really exploit it that way. But when you're out in the city and swerving through traffic, that is where you realize that a little bit of a spoiler alert, but it is better than the Activa E in terms of how it handles, how it maneuvers, and how it changes direction. So that way, it's actually a much better package and much better sprung than the Activa E also, I would say. But altogether, I mean, I'm just not sure who this...
Up until a certain point, they feel equal in terms of acceleration. You know, and
yeah, and then it's just...
Yeah, flat.
Yeah.
all the way to
Also, the QC one is the one which has like removable batteries.
No. So the QC one has the fixed batteries, which contributes towards a better stiffness
Right,
and how
right.
it handles and the package and the chassis.
Honda is still very conservative in terms of
It
their
is.
products for Indian market, and in a market where you have Athers and Olas and even TVS with their more modern products, so it already feels like a generation old. Plus, like you said, the top speed is 50. So in this day and age, I don't think. I think even kids' tricycles would do probably 50 kilometers per hour with the electric ones. So 50 kilometers per hour with limited range, plus it's not particularly good to look at as well because it doesn't look modern. It feels very.
It's okay.
Yesterday.
I mean, I would say, but nothing fantastic.
Like you said, Shivank, how it feels like a decade old, like a generation old. And I mean, even when you look at the Activa QC1, and it's not something that that will strike you or that stands out or anything. It looks like a normal regular scooter now, which is fine. To give you an example, even the TVS iQubes looks like a normal regular scooter. But in terms of practicality, it's like much better in terms of
I think it looks a lot
usability.
funkier than
For sure.
They've made TVS. It looks like they've put in more effort than Honda.
That's the point I was trying to make. So the QC one, well, yeah, I mean it's there, but there are other better.
These are like
options
beta
available.
testing products which have been released, just
Yeah.
placeholder.
You do have better options in the electric scooter market if you want to get one.
So not the best around, but I think they get the job done, and that's the best thing which can be said. Now we move on to another Honda product which impressed us quite a bit, which was the CB 125. From the looks to the performance to the price, I think it hit a lot of marks. Right.
I mean, first of all, it has quite funky color options.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you want something subtle, they have
Complete
that.
opposite of the QC.
Yeah,
one and the
exactly.
It's so weird. I mean, now of course you have seen a lot of these muscular, well-built 125cc motorcycles. You have the Extreme 125, you have the TVS Raider, and now the CB 125X.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you have something like the QC1 and the Activa E. I don't know.
It feels like it was made in different countries altogether.
In the 125, in the 125cc segment, you expect TVS to go all out, be a little bold.
Yes.
You never expected Honda to be
to
so
do
bold.
And Honda, the moment is when Simran was doing his lap times, when you look at that bike, especially those colors, fluorescent colors, and it really pops, right? And you could easily mistake it for a 250 or 300cc motorcycle. The only thing is when you take it on the track or anywhere for that matter, there is no power, there's no punch. But for its segment, it is a refined motor. It has the performance. The ride and handling is really phenomenal. That's where you see what Honda is all about, because everything is kind of engineered to perfection, especially in this motorcycle. It's also priced well. It also comes with upside down forks. So really a lot of kit. Overall, I think it was one of the products that really impressed me, and in a surprising manner, because I wasn't expecting it to be that great.
For me, I think the biggest disappointment about that motorcycle was the fact that the platform is so balanced and nice to ride that I felt it could have even been a 250cc motorcycle. It had, just the feedback and the confidence to handle more power than it has already. Like every time I gas it out of the corner, like I'm going so well into a corner through it, and when you gas it out, I'm like, oh no, it's just a bit of a.
If only it had more power.
Yeah,
But again, that's not a problem because
that's not a problem.
That's
but
a 125.
That's just a me problem.
Yeah. But that's again, you have to look at it from the perspective that someone who's buying a 125cc scooter with that kind of money.
Great place to start.
Yeah, great place to start. Plus, also it's giving you that X factor that you would not get otherwise for a similarly priced package. So I think that's what Honda is delivering, and I think it looks like a big bike. And
It's a side note, but I find it quite funny that the fluorescent color is very Rossi-esque, considering the history that Rossi has had with a certain Honda rider.
His brother back in the factory team, so maybe.
So, yeah.
But anyway.
All right. So I think we're done with the Honda boys, and it's time to move on to another Japanese in the form of the Kawasaki KLX 230. something which you've written.
Yes.
I couldn't. I was jealous. I wanted to ride it for so long, and lo and behold, it's on track, the
Yes.
Formula One track. When I get to
So
try.
I think you're the best person to start this section. Then tell us what you
All right,
think.
so now I'm going to be able to tell you how it feels on a racetrack or
Oh,
the dual sport.
before he begins, we literally had to pull him off the motorcycle because he was just popping wheelies like anything on the KLX 230.
I think that was the most surprising, how tractable the performance is. So nice in the first few gears, like you feel like you get it out on the off-road bits, and you don't have to do much to keep it in the right power band. It's the balance of the chassis is also really nice. It gives you the confidence, and even on track, because of the knobby tires, it felt a little
Of course, yeah.
off when you had to do some hard cornering.
Yeah, but I think what really stood out for me was the engine. It was quite refined. Plus, it's a Kawasaki. The suspension also felt that it could take a lot of abuse, which is what it's meant for. And of course, the icing on the cake is the pricing, because now with Kawasaki, I think assembling it right
Yes.
here in India, the price have gone down
Significantly.
dramatically. Yeah.
184.
But as an overall motorcycle, considering we have 15 other rivals or contenders,
Yes, of course.
I think it only falls short in the fact that it's a little too niche. So not for everyone, but for those who understand what that bike is all about, I think there is no alternative.
What he's trying to say is not the best all-rounder.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, now it's time to move to homegrown manufacturers, and we had two 650cc twins, which was the Bear 650 and the Classic 650. A bit of opposites, but equally fun.
Yeah, I mean, that 650 engine, amazing in both motorcycles. But again, I've had differing opinions with people on this, but I have never really understood the concept of the Bear, because it's not scrambler enough for me. It's too heavy. The ergonomics aren't that spot on, and the tires and everything. So I just feel that the classic 650 is actually a much better package, because then you get that. You remember how Royal Enfield has been sort of accused of not making heavy motorcycles anymore, like the older 350s and the 500s used to be. So the 650 is like basically coming back to that same thing, where you need a heavy motorcycle that you want.
650 is a heavy motorcycle.
Yes.
243
Yes. So if you were one of those people who wanted a heavier bullet or a classic, now you have it. But again, that engine is amazing. The ergonomics are so good on that motorcycle. I mean, that is the much better 650 package.
I think it's fair to say that of all the newer 650cc motorcycles from Royal Enfield, except for the Interceptor, the Continental, because those are still the best sellers. But the newer ones, starting from the Super Meteor, I think this is the best version of that new 650cc platform, because the Super Meteor was too uncomfortable. It is too harsh suspension. It was a similar problem with the shotgun. And then, of course, you have the Bear 650, same problem. The rear suspension was really too firm, especially for Indian road conditions. The Classic 650 is also firm, but it's that nice kind of firm. It isn't as plush as the 350, I'd say. The Classic 350 is still the benchmark if you want outright comfort and that plushness that Royal Enfield is famous for. But I think the Classic 650, it really comes close to that. And I think of all the bikes, the engine, like you said, phenomenal refinement, too good. It's overall a very well balanced motorcycle, but again, the drawback is that it is a little too expensive now, especially after GST revision. So yeah, that is the only problem. But otherwise, I really loved the Classic 650, and I think, like you said, it is it kind of tells you that this is a Royal Enfield. Not because of the weight, but also because of the way it looks. So yeah, it's a classic in that sense.
All right, now it's time to move on to some other Royal Enfield motorcycles. We had the Goan Classic and we had the Scram 440. How about you choose between the two and give us your experience from there?
Looks, definitely the Goan Classic nails it, that bobber look. But again, our roads are not really meant for bobbers, so I would go with the Scram 440. Have they done enough for an improvement? Maybe not, but it's still an improvement over the older bike, and I would have actually loved to see a Scram with the newer 450 engine. That 450, that would have been the ideal scenario. This one is like somewhere in the middle, but yeah, it's an improvement over the other one. So yeah, I would pick the Scram over it. And yeah, at least it's a much better off-road motorcycle than the Bear 650.
Fair enough.
I think it's a similar problem for me, because the Goan Classic, I rode it in Goa when it was launched.
Yeah.
And the classic, again, the 350 is probably the best motorcycle they do in terms of ride comfort, in terms of how plush the suspension feels. So I was thinking the Goan Classic with that design, it'll still retain that ride quality of the classic 350. But that's not the case because I felt, again, the rear suspension just too hard, and it just hit my spine every time I went over those potholes in Goa. So I didn't really enjoy the experience. But yeah, it's a very beautiful looking motorcycle, really good colorways available with that motorcycle. On the other hand, you have the Scram 440. It is a great motorcycle, it's a great platform, but the problem is that it's a rehashed version of the old motorcycle. So they've just reboot the old engine, the 411 Scram, and they've created this engine. So it is quite decent given the prices haven't gone up that much, because like Aakash said that there could be a Scram version of the 450, but then the prices would have been really, very high prices. So they didn't want to lose out on their
that customer
audience, customer, because in terms of value for money, the Scram 440 gives that.
Just choosing between these two at the BIC, the Goan was slightly more refined, slightly more well put together.
Of course, the 350
it's the engine
the
also.
Scram's fit and finish, and just it felt a little undefined, felt a little loose, and the rehashed engine I didn't like. If I had to choose an off-roader from RE, I would save up and go for the Himalayan. And let's move on to the second sporty scooter, which all of us really liked, was the Ntorq 150. Kingshuk? Wait, actually, Shivank, you haven't started.
Where Ntorq 150, again, I thought it was a great product overall. If you look at the packaging, the quality, typical TVS quality, the fit and finish is brilliant. Ride and handling, again, that delectable balance that TVS somehow kind of makes, for their motorcycles, it is still there. And I think it looks quite modern in that sense. A lot of equipment as well. So you have that feel-good factor with the Ntorq 150. The engine also has a decent performance. It has a lot of poke, low down. But at the top end, even Simran said on the track, when you really push it, like you go full throttle, well, it is lacking in the top end. So after 90, the progress is really slow, especially on the speedometer. So compared to the old Ntorq, I don't think it is that much of a step up in terms of outright performance. But overall, like I said, in terms of even value for money, it is a great offering. So I think TVS has really kind of hit the nail on the head with this scooter. It has that performance, that added performance that someone would want over Ntorq 125. And it still retains that sporty handling character, although the suspension is a little soft compared to the something like the SR 175, but I'd any day prefer the Ntorq's
You feel
suspension.
like TVS is compromised on the...
I think TVS has done the right thing, because the Aprilia, they have the performance, but they've also made the scooter too stiff or too sporty. In India, the scooter is going to be primarily used in the city, where it is sort of jack of all trades. So they have got that spot on. So I think TVS has done the right thing by making the suspension a little sort of supple and soft, but it's not outright sporty, as sporty as it looks, to be very frank.
So I like the way the Ntorq 150 looks, and those 4 quad LED projector lights. That looks really well, and it's a very different design.
Gives you MV Agusta vibes. If you,
Absolutely, I completely agree with
a
you.
little bit too much.
So if you want that kind of presence, even the colors for that matter, nice funky colors,
Very nice
it just
colors.
makes it pop on the road. And quite impressed by the quality and the ride that the scooter offers, particularly on the city, when the roads are less than perfect.
It's a typical good boy kind of behavior that TVS has brought in with the Ntorq 150. It's not going to wow you with something crazy and out there, but whatever it is supposed to do, it does so well, like a good boy that does,
Is it
his
the
or
kind of
her
guy who
homework.
does,
all the boxes
the sports guy who also does well in studies?
Yes. So like an all-rounder that ways. And again, the suspension setting is, I think, quite key in that aspect, because a lot of two-wheeler manufacturers I'm seeing are going for these very stiff suspensions, which are just not practical for everyday use. The Ntorq definitely is compared to them.
So now let's move on to the next TVS product, which was the Orbiter. Should I start?
Yeah, because you rode it
I
first.
rode it, and for me, this was like the highest compliment I can give it is that it was the best electric vehicle contender in our lineup. It felt the most balanced. It felt comfortable as well. It felt big, and it had a road presence to it. TVS has made an effort, not in terms of just design, but also practicality, which I understood. Big underseat storage, lots of place to keep your legs. The ergonomics are pretty nice, upright feeling. And overall, I think it was a product which never did anything wrong. Obviously, not a lot of things to stand out, but it never did anything wrong.
What was the price? Can you remind us again?
99,900.
99,000. So it's basically 9,000 more than the QC one, which again shows you how.
This also does 68 kilometers per hour. Is the top speed 69? I read 69.
Nice.
Speed indicator.
And like if
Down
you crouch down enough, you can
Yeah.
achieve 69. But yeah, it
So 69 seems to be a recurring thing.
is a
with you.
recurring thing
Yeah.
for me. Yes.
Of course.
So
And if you crouch down.
Pun intended.
PG-13 Kingshuk Dutta, PG-13. And but you know, even getting to 68, I think it's peppy enough, and the throttle transitions is very smooth and comfortable. So I think I really liked it.
I also like the scooter. It does things very well, and the utility aspect is really nice. That is properly like a utility scooter. The only thing which I am not really able to like is how it looks now.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm kind of fond of the
It looks
design.
quite quirky. Like
I'm
it
not
looks
saying I
good.
hate it, but I'm just
You don't like it.
You need to get used to it.
yes.
I think that's the problem with TVS Orbiter compared to an iQube or an Atherista and all of these scooters. It's that it doesn't look conventional. So your audience or your target customer is already kind of divided, whether they like it or not. But the problem is that it's a brand new scooter. But in
It's meant
terms
to be
of
out of this world.
in terms of tech, in terms of features it packs, it doesn't take the game forward. It's basically again doing the tried and tested thing.
Next, we come to another Piaggio product, which is the Vespa 150 Kala Edition. That's the full name. And quite funky colors as usual, you know, looks good and goes well. But again, it
Looks very cool for sure.
looks very cool, but not a very competent product in terms of standing out, you know, and it's just too expensive. And this,
I think it's about time they stop milking the Vespa brand just based on its looks and heritage. So great product again, I love it. But it's like even I think 5 or 6 years ago, or even pre-COVID, the Vespa always looked the same. So this has new funky design bits and all that. But in terms of what it does as a product, again, like the Orbiter, nothing extraordinary. It's like just a try.
Brings nothing new to the table.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great looking scooter, but it's again very niche for some, and I think it's quite pricey as well.
Yes, the price I think is what in my books hurts. Yes, I get it. There's a brand value attached to it. It's sort of becoming like the bullet of the scooters in a way that, you know, people will pay any amount, almost any amount, just to get that brand name.
not
and to
anymore. Like at that, when it came out, Vespa was something unique, and now the design is everyone's caught up. Ntorq 150 comes down as the best choice amongst the scooters.
Yeah.
And it's also 150
In this
cc.
lineup, definitely.
Especially in this lineup,
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, just to round up, these are all the contenders that we had, and now we have to hand out the awards to top 3, which are going to be best of 2025, and then there's the performance bike of the year award, which goes to the motorcycle which laps the circuit fastest. And which
Any
year?
guesses?
Yeah.
Any guesses what it could be?
You can put it down in the comments below.
Yeah. So that's one thing. So we already know the bike which is going to win the performance bike of the year award, because we have the lap times, but we are not going to reveal it to you right now. We'll have a separate video for that. But we'll have 3 winners from this lineup. So quickly, I'm going to ask all of you your top 3,
Top 3.
which you think can win the award.
Cool.
So we'll start with Kingshuk.
Ntorq, KLX. It's a strong contender. I'm more leaning towards KLX than the Tuono, and of course, I think one common motorcycle will be the Panigale V4 S.
All right, for me, I think which stood out, definitely the Ntorq 150, just on counts of doing everything right. The CB 125 being the motorcycle equivalent of that, just getting everything right. Performance, but that's a me problem, again, as I said. And third, for me, it would have been the Tuono, but it's just not a new product. So I would rather go for the KLX 230. That's what I'd like to see win.
Aakash.
Okay. I guess the Ntorq is the common factor here. Apart from that, just like Kingshuk, I'm not sure if it will win, but I think it is quite a good product, the KLX 230, because it's brought, you know, a new flavor to the off-roading segment. And then for the motorcycle, I will actually go with the Tuono because again, it's just so much more sensible while being quite fast.
I think for me, the product that really stood out, like in a surprising manner, is the CB125 because again, objectively, if you think about it, it's not going to set your pants on fire with its performance. But objectively, if you look at the product, it was quite capable and it ticks all the right boxes. Second is, of course, the TVS Ntorq. We all agree that it was, right now, it is the product that we all agree upon that was best overall. From value for money to ride and handling to practicality, it just has everything. And third, I love the Multistrada V4 S, but I think it's a little too expensive.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's going to lose points in that department. Otherwise, for me, it's between the Tuono and the Classic 650 because the Classic again has everything going for it. The Tuono, it is based on the same winning package that was the RS457. So, but my only problem with the Tuono is I'm still not sure about.
Tell me, when say Classic 50, don't you think like now I forgot it's there on the lineup.
Yeah,
It's a little
I think
forgetful in
it's
that
like
sense.
a
I think
sleeper.
again, but when you sit down and you score,
Yeah.
that's when you know
It
that
comes up on top.
it comes out on top because it kind of scores in every department again. The KLX 230, we have argued on this a lot, many times. I think again the problem with that motorcycle, it's a little too niche, and it's only for enthusiasts, which you can see
But I
all
think
around
that's
me.
what adds to its charm.
Yeah.
really.
Yes.
But apart from this discussion, I think there's going to be a longer one coming to decide which one takes the honors.
And yeah, we'll decide we'll decide the winners and then we'll announce them very, very soon.
But these guys need to tell us in the comment section which is your top three favorites. Of course,
and
you
also
guys know-
tell us which bike you think has won the performance bike of the year.
That's a
Could be
big
the
mystery.
Tuono 457.
Or-
Could be the QC one.
Yeah, I put my
Could
money
be
on the
anything.
QC one.
Yeah.
You know. All right, guys. Thank you guys for so much for watching. It was definitely a hoot to ride these bikes around. You know, get all the information for you guys. You know, this is purely professional work we're doing here. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys really soon. Signing out. Aakash Paul, Shivank Bhatt, Karan Mathur, and Kingshuk Dutta.